Champions League draw takes place this evening at 5 o'clock. As we said, it'll all unfold in talkSPORT Drive. More teams, more games, more cash.
More money, that's the thing, Paul. That's the bottom line.
More dead rubbers? Well, let's find out, because Dale Johnson from ESPN knows how it works. He's one of a select few people in the world that does. Good afternoon, Dale.
Afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, good,
yeah, not
thanks.
too bad. I mean, look, it's not quite as complex. I mean, when you actually get down to it, it's a sort of different. They say it's the Swiss system, but it was used in chess. It's not been used in football before. Even chess people apparently have been saying this is not quite what we had in mind. But as briefly and in layman terms, if you can, how's it going to be different from the old days?
Yeah, so I guess if we talk about the draw, which is going to happen today, then normally we would get 8 groups of 4 teams, which you're not going to get anymore. It's going to be something that looks very strange, because it's going to create 36 unique fixture lists, one for every team. So it's going to be a very difficult thing to look at when the draw is actually made, because we used to have just these 14 groups, which were very simple. Yeah. And so that means that we're not really going to get an impression of what's going to happen until the tournament starts, because it's now one big league table of all 36 teams. So what we're going to find out today is the 8 fixtures for each team. There's 4 pots of 9 teams, and you will get 2 teams from each pot. So it was an advantage in previous seasons to be in pot 1, because you couldn't play a team from pot 1. So you had an advantageous position to avoid the stronger teams. But now you will play 2 from your own pot. So there is now really no benefit or basis to the pots. It's more about creating a sliding scale of strength to create 2 fixtures for each club. So you'll get the list of those, 1 home, 1 away from each pot, but you won't know the actual order of those games until Saturday, when UEFA publishes that full list. So today it'll just be a list of 8 matches per team.
A couple of fears about this new system. I mean, even though you've got more big teams potentially playing each other, they could be so home and hosed in their groups and knowing they've qualified, you could get, relatively, dead rubbers in those matches. And there's no dropping into the Europa League anymore. That's it. If you finish towards the bottom, you're out. So what will those teams have to play for when they know they're done? So you could get, again, some dead rubbers there, couldn't you?
Bottom.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that UEFA tried to tackle by making every league position important, and that feeding into the knockout bracket. So if you think of Wimbledon, the player that's seeded first will not play the player that's seeded second until the final, and if they all get through. And this is the same principle. So if Manchester City finish first in the league phase, Real Madrid finish second, then they will be in opposite half of the knockout bracket, and they can't meet into the final. So that means not just in first and second place, there's a sliding scale, obviously, of that. So every position is important in terms of what your path would be through from the knockout playoffs to the round of 16. The question really is how much teams are going to care where they finish when they are like just inside the top 8, 13, 14, 15, 16. But we actually did a mock run through of this to see just what would be at stake after 7 matches. Now, what you've got to remember is there's only 24 points at stake. It's not like a league system when you probably can only move 1 or 2 positions when you get to the final round of games. With this, there were teams that were able to move 7 or 8 places, because the last round of matches, all 18 games are being played at the same time. So you've got like the last day of the Premier League season on steroids, and teams could be moving up and down and around all the time. There was only 5 teams who had absolutely nothing to play for on the final day. That was Man City and Real Madrid, who we had in first and second place, and the bottom 3 who were eliminated. Everybody else, there were 17 teams who could have finished in the other 6 places, the top 8, and there were 17 teams that were fighting for the last 4 places in the knockout playoff round. But there was nobody not locked in that knockout playoff round. They could have gone in the top 8, or others could have dropped out of the top 16. Top 24. So it's going to be interesting to see when we get there in January, because it's going to be January now, not December. It's so alien to us all that we don't really know exactly what it's going to look like. But UEFA believe that when we get to January, there's going to be lots to play for, and these clubs are going to care about their final position.
It's a shame we are going to miss out, though, on as we said, like Christian Vieri trying to open up a little plastic ball on stage and everything. The guy from UEFA having to go over and give him a hand, which you always get.
Yeah, but at least you can see that, Paul. And even that, people go, oh, they've warmed the balls up, they've done this, they've made... With this is we're relying on a computer and everyone goes, well...
They're going to do it like a game show. Apparently there's going to be a big game show-style button, we read today, that they push and then all the groups sort of shake down from being done by AI.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that when you've got all these different constraints, the fact you only have 2 from each group, you can't play someone from your own country, you can only play 2 teams from another country. And because, like you say, you're not doing 8 groups of 4, you're literally doing 36 or 36. It would take just under 1,300 balls just to draw the teams.
Bring it on.
And this is before we take into account the constraints of home and aways that teams need to be given. So this is the problem they had. They reckoned that it would take 3 hours. Now, I know the Champions League draw feels like it takes 3 hours, but this time it really would have taken 3 hours if they'd done it manually. So you're still going to get the ex-player having to go up on the pitch and mess with the ball to try and get to open. So he'll go to pot 1. He'll pick out, for instance, Liverpool, hold Liverpool up, and then it will be computer generated for their 8 opponents. And it will automatically do the home and away from each of those 4 pots as well.
I wonder if it'll build a bit of tension, do it slowly, team by team, or they just all appear. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna make it a bit game show by the sound of it, Dan.
Yes, Eurovision Song Contest.
They're going to embrace it. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it all shakes down, and we'll catch up with you soon, Dale. Thanks very much.
Great to speak to you, lads.
Thanks, Dale.
ESPN's very own Dale Johnson there. As we said, the draw is happening at 5 o'clock. All the build-up to it. Andy Goldstein, Gabby Agbonlahor going to be joined by Troy Deeney for the show today, and the fellas will be keeping an eye on that draw and bringing you all the reactions.
Yeah, very nice.
So, couple of things. Romelu Lukaku has joined Napoli from Chelsea.
On a permanent, Paul? I'm assuming.
I think
not on
so.
loan.
No, I think Andy's finally got him off the wage bill.
On a permanent.
He was prepared to drive him to Naples himself. We saw scenes. Of course, his new teammate Scott McTominay. We saw being met at the airport by Neapolitans going nuts.
Very nice.
That's a mad. I think Manchester
Neapolitan nuts. That sounds nice.
Neapolitan nuts. I'll get you some of those.
So strawberry sauce.
Yeah. So Lukaku's gone there. We'll see what happens with Osimhen, and we're going to return to Lords because England have lost another wicket against Sri Lanka. John Norman.
3 for 5, and it's Jamie Smith, player of the match in the first Test match, who's gone. Ratnayaka with his first dismissal of the Test, just probing away really outside off stump. He's bowled a wobble seam delivery. Essentially, you don't really know whether it's going to go away or straight on or sometimes in to the right-hander. And Jamie Smith's come forward. He's already hit 1 boundary in the over, and he's gone hard at this delivery, trying to hit down the ground. And it's just shaped away a touch, taken the edge. And the third player that Sri Lanka have called upon to keep behind the stumps, Madushka, has completed the catch. So just when England started to get themselves back into a position of strength, relative, they've lost another wicket. 5 down now. All of this after Sri Lanka won the toss and surprised a lot of onlookers by deciding to bowl first. Joe Root's still there. He's 80 not out. He's joined at the crease by Chris Wokes, who's faced 3 deliveries, but England keep losing wickets. 3 wickets before the lunch break, 2 before tea. We've got 10 minutes to go. Sri Lanka's day so far, England 193 for 5.
Thanks very much, John. Just before we head off to the spread, if you were listening on Christmas Eve, the Christmas Eve show that myself and Andy traditionally do, we have a number of the talkSPORT listeners come in. And we had a young guy came in with his dad, Nick, called Elijah Kerr. He was a lovely lad. He was a referee, did lots and lots of good standard refereeing and was looking to work his way through the ranks. But we were alerted to incredibly tragic news by his family recently that he had passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I bring this up now because he was a massive Southampton fan. On the day we talked a lot about Southampton and his love of refereeing when he came in with us, and he joined us on air a couple of times. But he also used to referee academy games, and he refereed some games at Fratton Park in the past. So in a lovely touch by Portsmouth there's going to be a minute's applause and recognition of the work he did for Portsmouth as much as Southampton on the refereeing front this weekend. I know his family are going, and so I hope it's. I'm sure it'll be a very emotional day for him. But what a lovely touch from Pompey to do that.
That's football at its best, isn't it? And football fans at their best.
For a Saints fan. So they've been raising money from the Epilepsy Society in Elijah's name. But we were incredibly sad to hear the news. All of us on the show, and to say it's fantastic. By Portsmouth to do what they've done on Saturday. So if you are going to Fratton, young Saints fan who did a bit for your club, I hope you join in the applause. We will bring you very shortly the birthday spread. We'll keep you in touch with the cricket and the Paralympics, and as we said, that draw from 4 o'clock on Drive.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.